everyone, this is Tammy from Tammy Colors 2. Today I am going to start my collection video, or my collection of supplies. Usually I do this in July when my channel anniversary is, but I didn't have time. I had a lot of things going on, so I'm starting it now. And since it's watercolor, like watercolor summer, and I am co-hosting Watercolor Summer with Michelle from Kits and Caboodles, I'm going to start with all of my water-based media. So I'm going to start with my watercolor pencils, my ink tints, and my Neocolors because they are in this folder. I have my swatches divided amongst different folders to make it easier for me. So I just pulled this one out and thought we would start here. I don't really have that many sets of watercolor pencils. So if I go through this binder, I have my Arteza, which I want to redo the swatch and get it down to 1 page because right now it's 4. It's the 120 set of Arteza watercolor pencils. Then I've got the 96 Aqua Blend, Spectrum Noir Aqua Blend watercolor pencils. I have the 72 set of Anna Valachi watercolor pencils, which I don't think you can get anymore, but they're fabulous. I love them to death. I have 12 set of Graphitints, and I have the Faber-Castell Albert Dürer watercolor pencils, which I also want to get this swatch down to 1 page. There's 120 of these. Then I have my 72 ink tints. No, I do not have the Neocolors yet. And I have all 84 of the Neocolor tubes. So that's where we're going to start. Now I have a plan. I'm going to try to do kind of short-ish videos. Rather than just show them all to you, I'm actually going to talk about them a little bit and try to do a picture. And I've been going back and forth how to do this. So I've printed myself off a sheet. This is not watercolor paper. This is just smooth marker paper. You know, most of the time I color on something similar to this, either this or Amazon paper. So, but I thought if I did all of them on the same sheet of paper, then you can see what they all look like as kind of a comparison, the differences. So when we're done, we'll have all the media in here, which I think there's 9 in here, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, also, I think I figured since everyone does stuff on Amazon paper, I have a couple of books pulled out that we can do a little testing on. I don't know which one I want to do, because this one is not like your normal Amazon paper. This is the normal Amazon paper, so I may use this one to just kind of test them out. We'll find a picture that has like 5 flowers, like maybe this one has 4, and then we'll do a flower or something. This one has several flowers. Maybe we could use this one. And then we'll just do a little bit on Amazon paper. So there we go. So I figured we would start with number 1 in the book, which is Arteza watercolor pencils. There are 120 colors. I'll pull these out so they're not shiny for you. I guess I need to get non-glaring. But these are all the colors. Oh, I did that wrong, didn't I? These are all the colors in the set. They are very nice and bright colors. I have had them for a while. I think I got them shortly after they came out with the 72 set or 120 set. These are the pencils. They look very, very similar to Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. Pretty much almost identical looking, except for like the name. The writing is different if you've never seen them. Where are my Albrecht Dürers? Here they are. So I'll pull out like a periwinkle maybe. So this is the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencil. This is the Arteza. You can see they're very similar. They are hexagonal. The Artezas are a little skinnier than the Albrecht Dürers. And I can tell you the performance is a little different. I mean, the Albrecht Dürers are the nicest ones that I have so far. I apologize, I do not have the Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils. I don't know if those will ever make it into my collection. I do want some Derwent watercolor pencils, but I am happy with what I have. So, I guess we will get into that. We'll deal with the Albrecht Dürers when we get there. So, let's pull out, let me grab a water brush here. We can do a couple different things. I have a Tombow here. We could do a alcohol blender, although that's not really watercolor summer, but we could if we wanted to. And here's a water brush that I need to probably fill up really quickly, and we can just activate it. Make sure all my water brushes are full. All right, so let me grab this. So what color do we want our flower to be? Really quickly, maybe why don't we do magenta and fuchsia? Maybe pull out a nice Tuscan sun and sunflower yellow for the center. Okay, we'll pull out 6 colors. Let's see, fuchsia and magenta should be together. Now, as you can see, fuchsia and magenta, the pencil looks a little bit different, but that's why we swatch our colors. So I've got 2 colors for there. I said I was going to do a Tuscan sun. Might be too... Maybe I'll do a Tuscan sun and a lemon yellow because I need a brighter color. We'll do that. Oh, that's my sunflower is laying out. Tuscan sun and a lemon yellow. And then we'll do a couple of greens. Nice, pretty bright green. Maybe the absinthe is very popular, or apple. Maybe we'll do an apple green. Oh, and does basil look like it goes? Or we'll do a spring green, and I'll have a green, spring green, and I guess we'll do a basil, a spring green and a basil. That works. All right, that was my color picking process. Let me find the pencils. Where's my basil? It's right here somewhere. Fern, lime, parakeet. There's the spring. It's on the other side, probably. Here it is. All right. I find it easier if we just, you know, pull out the colors, and that way we're not. So let's zoom in to here. So we'll start with this. We'll start with that right here. I'll label it later. So we'll start with some magenta. I'm gonna color it like I would kind of like a colored pencil. These are very smooth, the way they go down. And I hope I don't regret my color combination, but they'll look good once they get blended. You don't really have to color the whole thing like you do with colored pencils, because you're going to spread out the color. So you don't have to be as mercenary about coloring it. So I'll get a few here. Oh shoot, I did that wrong. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. That's okay. This too we shall overcome. So we'll do like a dark color in the back. Wonder if I needed like a dark color, but you know what? We can add a darker color later once this dries, if we want. Put a little more here. And I'm sure people have lots of different techniques for coloring these. So I'm gonna do one more because I have to even everything out. I mean, this is just, the paper I'm using is just, it's 92 bright white, 92 pound. It's my marker paper. And I get the specs from Coloring Bliss. They tell what their marker paper is, and so I buy what will go through my printer. This is the thickest right now that will go through my printer. If you want to know where I got the sheet, I just found some free printable, I found a free printable flower, and then when I printed it, I printed 9 copies per page. So that's how I made my test sheet. All right, so we've got a flower, and we're gonna put some color down on that. All right, so do I want to use my thick water brush? Let's see. Oh. All right, so we will start with, I'll zoom in just a little bit more. All right, so we're gonna start here, and I'm gonna go backwards because I don't want to pull the dark color into the light color. And we'll just activate it. These activate really wonderfully. I don't have any trouble with them dissolving. So we will do that, and then we can go back if we want something to be darker, and we can add more color later once it dries. Oops. And I am messy. I should pick a darker color, I don't know. I don't want that much water. So we'll do a couple with a water brush. And you can just kind of spread the color out. But like I said, I don't think one coat will do it. All right, so we've activated some of this with water. And we can come back later. Probably should put my glasses on so I can see. There. Then we will do a Tombow water-based blender, which should have the same effect. Sometimes it's a little easier to use than a water brush. You just have to remember to clean it off. It doesn't get as much water on the paper, so it tends to dry faster. You know, and if you don't want to pull a color into, it's a little different how you do the blending with them though, but you can see the difference. And it all depends on what you want to do. If you're using paper that might be harder to, that doesn't take water very well, this is definitely the way to do it, is to just use any water brush. And do it like that. Now you can see these are beautifully bright, vibrant colors. I am messy. I don't know what to do about being messy though. And I'm probably gonna have to go back and darken this up if I want these back petals to be dark. So do this. But you can see it spreads exactly the same way. I mean, it still spreads, I guess is what I want to say. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, there is a little difference because these have like glycerin and some other chemicals, so you're gonna get a little bit of a difference. So let me see if this is a clean enough. No, I need to pick a different one. So we'll use an alcohol marker. I just gotta make sure I have one that's not too dried out, or that is clean, because I've used a lot of these for just what I'm doing now, only usually I do it with ink tints. So I have to clean off I have to make sure that my alcohol marker is clean. Okay, so we'll do this last one with an alcohol marker, just so you can see the difference. And it does, and it will dry faster. But you can use an alcohol marker on here as well. The pigment still spreads. There you go. So let's see. So this one with the regular water brush, it is nicer because I tend to not be as messy with the blenders as I do the water brush, as you can see. And these will tend to not make the paper crinkle as much. I don't know if I can. I don't have a lot of luck with erasing because I was gonna put. Alright, so let's try to do some yellow while we're waiting on this other to dry. So hopefully, you know, if I've helped you, if you didn't know you could use alcohol marker, alcohol blenders to do this, you can. And it does change the look a little bit. I mean, not much, because with the alcohol marker, the pigment doesn't spread as much as it does with the water-based media. And I can't remember, we'll have to go back and try if you can still spread it after. It's been a while since I've, you know, sat down and played with it. So we're just gonna put some nice yellow in here because it's a pretty flower. I'm struggling with, I never put enough pigment down, especially with ink tints. I'm always like just not putting enough. So I'm trying to be better about laying pigment down. So what do we want to use? We'll just use our water brush. Make sure it's cleaned off. I have a lot of different types of water brushes. I like the Tombos because they come in a set of 3, and there's like a fine, which is what I'm using now, a medium, and they're different colors so you can tell. A medium, which is your thicker. So now I've got my fine, and then they have a flat one. Not a huge flat one though. Oh, where's my? So just a regular flat. So I like the set. It's relatively inexpensive. But I actually like the cheap water brushes too. The ones that come with the sets. I like the Artezas with the buttons. So there's that. Let's put a little green on this. I can go back and finish coloring the flower later, so we will have the example. I'm trying to wait for it to dry so that I can... I should have sharpened this pencil. Lots of people will tell you, like, sharpen your pencils. Alright, so here's this. I've got 2 greens. And I was talking about being messy with my water brush and not even thinking about being messy with my hand. The stems are usually darker, but that is not always the case. I totally did that wrong too. It should be darker under the flower and lighter at the bottom. Let me see if I can erase that. So we will use our trusty water brush. And it's nice when you have small areas, you know, to have something like, I can get all the pink cleaned off of it, like this, because then you're just wetting it, going down through, and it's not putting, so these are really nice for fine areas. Alcohol markers can be really nice for fine areas. It's a good thing you didn't see that. My marker flew through the air. So you can use different techniques depending on what you want to do. Sure, so we'll spread that out. It dissolves very nicely. Like I said, I don't have any trouble with the pencil, the Arteza pencils dissolving. Now, this is a smooth paper. I mean, I suppose I could get out a watercolor paper, but it's just that I don't typically use watercolor paper. Now what you do is, once this dries, you can come back in, because usually one coat is not enough, which has been my mistake in the past also. You want it to be one and done, and that's not necessarily true. So we're going to have a really pretty flower here. I guess I could see, and you don't, like, I'm going to show you, you don't have to have like the whole flower colored in. We can just throw some pigment down here. You know, and you can spread it out. You can just go like this, you can go like that, you can go like that. It's more helpful to use like a water brush when you're doing it this way. Put your pigment down here that you want to spread out. And we'll just, like, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I have learned a few things. And then you just spread it out like so, and that will give you a more diffuse color. Obviously, the more color you put down, you know, if you spread it all over, then you're not going to have as much trouble spreading it. But maybe you want your, because that's part of the reason you use watercolor, maybe you want a lighter color. You can also put the pencil, rub it off on a like a cutting board, something with a rough surface, and pick it up with your water brush and put it on the paper that way, and it comes out more like a paint. That is often what I do with my ink tints. I put them on a paint palette that is rough, and then I just pick them up with my water brush and use them like a paint. So here you go. Ta-da! So there's that. And then you can spread this out. So you can see that you don't have to color every inch like I was. You may have known that already, but I thought I would throw that out there. Which is the nice thing about watercolor, you can just throw some on. And then you don't have to color every inch, and it's faster. I should be using probably a bigger water brush. Like if I used this bigger tip here, it would spread faster. This tip might be too big, actually. Sometimes it's hard to judge the right size, and you just have to play around with it. But sometimes you want, it's another thing that's nice about watercolor is, I got that Doppy. I just Doppied that. Is that you can make several different colors with the same color. you can pull, what do I want to do it on? Let me grab a sheet of paper. So you can, put that out of the way. If you want, you can take it from the pencil like this and do it that way. You know, you can rub it and it gives you a light color. Like, you can dilute your colors quite a bit. So that's the nice thing about watercolor paper. If I had treated paper, or I mean, that's the nice thing about watercolors. If I had treated paper, I could just move that around forever. But reality is that I don't use treated paper much, so there's not much of a point. I mean, treated paper is obviously the end all be all. So let's get out my paper here, and then we will do a little color on here and see what happens on Amazon paper. So like I said, you know, you've seen it on smooth paper. So I'll just do it the same way that I normally would do. You know, a little shading here. And these just come off, like, I don't have to put much pressure on them to get the color to come out. Now the question is, am I putting enough color down? So let's start with a water brush. So I'll use the water brush on the middle. So as you can see, like, you know, you get spread. You can use your water brush on here. Your paper is gonna get wet. I don't have a blotter sheet behind here, but that's okay. I'll figure that out. So you just have to spread it around. Now it's not gonna spread around as nicely, that's for sure. And then we'll do the Tombow blender on this side, which I think in some ways is going to work better. I don't think the pigment isn't going to spread as far. Then we'll do the alcohol marker on this side. And on this paper, the pigment probably won't spread at all because it's just holding on to the watercolor pigment. So we have to let that dry. While I'm letting that dry, we can come back to this. Let's see, so that's almost dry. That's also the problem with watercolor, is that you have to, you know, let it dry before you come back and you add other, so it's faster if you use, you know, your water-based blender, because you're not putting as much water on the paper. Because these that I did with that, and you can kind of tell, if you can see, the ones I did with the water are a slightly different color. So I did all these with water, I did these with the blender pen, I did that one with the alcohol marker. So you can see the difference in the color because it's adding different chemicals or whatever. Am I sure exactly why? No. But it does change it a little bit. Now I would go back and add some more color here to kind of fill out the flower. If I was doing this for, you know, I would make this darker. I would probably make the back darker. But since this is just an example of what the colors are going to look like, you know, one layer is probably enough. This is just one layer. This is what you get. Do I have enough? Let's see. This one over here would be dry. So we could try to add some more color. And you don't have to activate it either. You can put, if you want to smooth it out, you can just add your watercolor pencil back on there. You can use a normal colored pencil. And smooth it out like so. And you don't have to activate it. And it gives you like a smoothed out color, because you can use these like pencils, you know. So there you go. And that gives it a nice smoother look. I could go back and I could activate that if I wanted to. I can darken this up a little bit. You know, I can go in here and I can put a little more color. I could use a darker color, because you're diluting the color when you, you know, put water on it. So you're gonna get darker color like this. This probably isn't really dry, because these I did later. And, you know, when you do that, you do want to make sure that they're dry so that you can get the best color pigmentation, because they don't lay down as nicely when the paper is still damp. But you can see like how nice it's filling out when I'm adding color back in here, like so. And this is just 2 pencils, you know. And sometimes with like ink tints, and watercolor pencils, I've done 3 shades with just 1 pencil. That's still wet, so I can't really do that. But you can kind of see like how I'm filling that out and how nice that's going to look when I'm done. So, this isn't really dry yet because this is going to take forever. So you can see it's still kind of wet right under here. But, this is the alcohol marker right here, or alcohol blender. This is the Tombow blender, and then the middle is water. So on the Amazon paper, it almost looks to me like the Tombow or any water-based blending might work the best on the Amazon paper. And this is an older book. When did I get this book? 2020. So it's stained glass flowers. So this is like old Amazon paper. So the newer, it'd probably be a little better on the newer Amazon paper that they're using in some of the books. But you can kind of see. I definitely like this better. And you can buy these individually. You can buy all the Tombow markers individually, so this is no exception. So that's my first foray into my watercolor pencils. I will do another video that hopefully will be a little bit shorter now that I know what I'm doing. And we'll do what's next in my binder. Let me see what I do with it. Oh, it's over here. Next is, oh, my aqua blend, my Spectrum Noir aqua blend. So, and I should label this right now that these are the Arteza. There we go. So now we know which one that is. And tomorrow we will do this one, or the next day, maybe tomorrow. I'm going to try to do these rather quickly. And we'll do the Spectrum Noir Aqua Blend colored pencils. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and you saw something. It'll be really neat to see this page filled out with all the different watercolor pencils. I'll try to pick similar colors. We'll see how that works. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.